living in this 200-year-old loft micro apartment, tiny home, I have yearned to simplify more and more. And that has not only looked like downsizing quite a lot and getting rid of quite a lot, but also constantly playing with the spatial design. Now, for those of you who have followed along my journey for quite some time, you will know that I have had all my rooms all kinds of different ways and layouts. But it wasn't until recently, when I got rid of my sofa for these two chairs, that it perhaps allowed for a little bit of a change in the living room. Now, in recent weeks, you've sort of seen me move the chairs a bit, but for some reason, I didn't think of putting them absolutely side by side like this. Because if I did, what I realised was I could finally simplify my life even more. In terms of a little bit of fussiness, which I kind of feel looks like messy clutter to do with the wires, it has always bothered me since getting rid of the sofa that the wires weren't concealed as well as they were when the sofa was there. So we're going to try it like this for a little bit, for the last little bit of time that we are here, because at the time you were watching this, I am only here until I go off travelling for a few more weeks. But at the time that I filmed it, I had quite a bit more time because obviously I am filming in advance. So today we are going to declutter a few bits, we're going to move some bits around, and we're going to try and create a cosy living room with a different spatial setup. So let's get going. So here I am just trying to problem solve where I am going to put all the wires behind the chairs, because the chairs are electronic. Then we have an Alexa that is my partner's and he enjoys it. We need regular access to the extension because we often, or I should say my partner often, plugs his gaming laptop on while he's sitting in the chair. And even though we've started sharing the desk in the bedroom, he sometimes still does this. And we then obviously have a lamp and our Wi-Fi. And really, that is the main corner that we plug everything in. So I really wanted to make sure that it looked organised once and for all for when I move the chair across into the bay window. Also, as you've probably gathered by now, I sort of put the shelf to one side. Because I found the shelf free, I really did kind of think, oh, I wonder if that could come in useful, because previously we'd had the projector on the shelf, but then when I realised that the projector was kind of going to have to go behind the chairs in the bay, it sort of didn't make sense. So unless I decide to put that in the hallway, it's probably just going to get gifted on to somebody else. But it was free, so I rescued it from outside. Let's just speed this moving of the very, very heavy chairs up for a second, and then we will deal with the next decisions that I've made to do with the little table and possibly bringing the large mirror back into the living room. And I know what you're all thinking. Yes, I do have a wire cable to sort of hide all these wires together. However, I move the stuff around that much that I often don't bother doing this. But I might actually do it for a change. So I do have a wire cable that I intend to group all these wires together with and cover along the skirting board. But for now, these storage books, which I keep my soy wax candles in and remote controls, can kind of be the little bit of disguise of the wires and horrible plug sockets. The next task is to finally recycle these cardboard boxes from my partner's gaming laptop. We do have a little bit of a thing in our household where we were once not allowed to return an electrical item that didn't work within its 12-month warranty because the shopkeeper told us that we weren't allowed to if it wasn't in its original box. I have since learned that this is absolute rubbish due to our statutory rights, but it's always made both my partner and I a bit doubtful. So if we can keep it sort of flat and out of the way, we do for up to the first 12 months. So this is my partner's laptop box, but it can finally now go and be recycled because he has had it 12 months. And where we live, it's quite easy to recycle stuff as we are provided these blue carriers from the local council, and basically anything that you put in there, cardboard, glass, aluminium, it all goes in together and is later sorted out at a recycling plant, which makes recycling for us very easy. This cardboard box was what was being stored behind our large mirror that you've just seen me bring into the living room. It was the last remaining thing being kept behind the mirror, and so there is a little bit of sorting out in the hallway to do from the odd tiny thing that was stood behind the mirror. As I've mentioned before, in a small tiny home or micro apartment, you have to make every bit of space count and use it for hidden storage. So let's do a bit of tidying up and a last bit of reorganization before I show you the finished result of the new Minimalist unfussy, de-wired living room. Off, I decided to go hang the macrame a little bit neater in the hallway. I probably will gift it away, but if not, I'll just take that extra inch off the end so that it can actually hang straight. But now it's time to go look at the new living room. That is the blustery wind and the crackling of the fire that you can hear on my ambience room on the projector, which I like to put on to just add an extra layer of coziness. But what I've done here for some of my decisions is basically put the chairs side by side so that we can actually enjoy the projector even larger than it was before. This way we can actually hide all the wires behind the chairs as well, but also because we lose that tiny little bit of light from the chairs being in the window, that's why I've also brought the mirror back into the room to reflect the little bit of light around the room, making it look a bit lighter. Bearing in mind I do have my ambient lighting on here and not the main light. I decided that I wanted to keep the coffee table in the corner just when not in use, otherwise it really does just look like it's in the middle of the room. And obviously we can't have it in front of the chairs because the chairs are recliners, and then they wouldn't be able to go out, and they would also be right in the main thoroughfare of being able to access the kitchen. So I personally like it out of the way in the corner when we're not using it, and then we can pull it out on an evening if we want to sit at it to eat, or even sit on the floor to work on our laptop, although we do share the desk now in the other room as well. So I'm going to enjoy the room like this for a little bit in this little minimalist makeover in terms of spatial design and moving things around. And this way I think it's just a little bit less fussy and a little bit more organised. Hope you've all enjoyed this one, and YouTube seems to think that you'll enjoy this video that's on screen now. Until the next one, I'll see you later.